morning, wonderful afternoon, and fantastic evening. This is Carla from Rehan Allahwala's World of Connections. And today I am speaking to Alma Sommer, who is from Santa Cruz, California. And she is also the co-founder of the Jackalope Festival, which she'll hopefully tell us about. And we're going to find out about her work and her passions. Now, I want to remind you that this show is sponsored by Rehan Allahwala's World of Connections, which promotes peace one conversation at a time. Alma, can you introduce yourself, please?
Thanks, Carla, for having me on this show. I really appreciate it. My name is Alma. I live in Arizona. I was born in Santa Cruz, but I only lived there for a year before I moved to Arizona. And so I was raised my entire life in Arizona. I grew up in Scottsdale, and then I eventually moved to northern Arizona. So I live in Snowflake, Arizona now, and I live here because I like being outside of the city. I like being around a less congregated area. I am attempting to build off-grid. So I have an RV and I have a trailer, and I have a property that is even outside of the town that I'm in now. So it's east of Snowflake, and I make videos on my YouTube channel called Undocumented Human Project. And I just show people, what we're doing out there to live sustainably and on our own, and with the least amount of government intervention as possible. And so I have 3 children, and I unschool them. They are full-time with me. And so I keep them at home with me, and I teach them myself, and they learn what the things that they want to learn. One of them's trying to grab the camera right now, even. This is my littlest one. He's allowed to be seen. He's undocumented per any government forms, but we did decide to put his image on the internet. It was just a decision his father and I made together. So Carla, that I could go on and on and on. I don't know if you have any questions thus far for me, but if you do, just chime in at any time and let me know, because I am a talker. I will just keep talking and talking. So Carla, invited me on the show to talk about the Jackalope Freedom Festival. It is a festival, like she said, I co-founded with another individual named Ernest Hancock of freedomsphoenix.com. He has a radio show called Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock. And him and I met a long time ago, many, many years ago, through the Ron Paul campaign. So we were really, I got really excited about politics at that time. But eventually I came to the decision that I didn't really want anyone to be my ruler. And I had, spent a few years in the activist world making signs for politicians and handing out flyers door to door, which was really cool because I met some really cool people. Like I was even invited into homes for dinner and things like that. So it was a good experience, but eventually I went to an event in New Hampshire, which is a state that is attempting to become the most free state of all the states. And they have a event called the Porcupine Freedom Festival. And it's put on by the Free State Project. And so I went to that. It's a camping festival, and they have speakers and bands and performers, entertainment workshops. They have an entire marketplace that you can hang out in, and you can buy food or goods and services, whatever you want. And so I got really inspired by that festival. And this was in 2011. when I first went there. And I decided that year that we needed to have something like that in Arizona, except for I didn't think there should be any group of people in charge. So uh, Ernie was on board, and he had been like, an activist for 40 some odd years at this point already. And we decided to find a place in the forest, and we found a place in Sitgraves National Forest, which is just a big giant forest. It's there's no fees. It's a no fee forest. And so like a lot of national forests, you have to get a pass or a fee, or there's a campground that you have to pay for or something like that. But this location is not regulated in that fashion, and it's 10 miles into the forest. It is off of a maintained road, so it's accessible to RVs and trailers and little tiny cars. Anybody can attend. And so we found this place, and it turns out that the property is a historic family property called the Baca family. And there's actually a cemetery there where the Baca family is the Baca family is buried. And they had originally lived back there to raise their cattle, and they homesteaded the property. So they had what is called I guess it was like a homestead patent or a land patent. And that means that they did not have to pay any taxes on this land. They owned it outright. They owned the mineral rights. They owned everything. So eventually it went down the family line, and the property was given or sold to the Forest Service. They own it. However, there's a very specific deed that we only know about because one of my friends who attends Jackalope used to work for a title agency. So he was able to pull all of the original paperwork forward on the land. So I have the original survey, which was done with these instruments that they don't even use anymore. It was not GPS. It wasn't a sextant either. It was something else. And they used a Polaris to map this property. And I have the entire description of it, as well as the current deed, which describes some very interesting things about the property that I'm assuming the Baca family wanted to make sure that people could always visit this land and be left alone. So that is a very long introduction to Jackalope, but it's a very special story. And Ernie and I actually found this land on accident because I used to camp in this area, but not on this part of the forest. And so I had shown him where I camped, and then we just went a little bit further one day, and we found this meadow, and it was Baca Meadows. And so for now 10 years, we have had a festival in Baca Meadows every first 2 weeks of August. And anybody is welcome, any peaceful person, of course.
Which is really important. For some reason, I thought you were in Santa Cruz, California, but you're not there now, are you?
No, I was born in Santa Cruz, but like I was saying, I only lived there the first year of my life. And then I was raised here in Arizona.
And where in Arizona?
I was raised in Scottsdale, but now I live in Snowflake, Arizona, which is up north in what they call the White Mountains. So I'm about 6,000 feet in elevation. And one thing that people always wonder about Jackalope is, since they hear Arizona, they think it's in the hot desert. Oh, I don't want to go, it's so hot. And I'm like, no, Jackalope is actually at 7,000 feet in the pines, and it is off and on rainy because it's monsoon season, which is also the same as hurricane season. So once the hurricanes hit the land, they break up and they just, give us tons of rain. So there's always fire bans early on in the summer, and then they're always lifted by the time Jackalope comes around. So it's pretty nice.
Wow. Now, how many years have you been doing Jackalope?
This is year 11.
And what does Jackalope consist of?
So Jackalope is, in a broader sense, a temporary voluntary society. It is a 2-week camping experience, and it's family friendly. So we have a jackalope hunt for the kids, and we have just different speakers come. We have different workshops. We have yoga. We have live music. It is a 1-year, an annual festival. So for part of the festival, it does get very busy. We have a marketplace, and anybody can come and sell goods and services. There's no fees to enter or camp. It's first come, first serve. And this year we have a really awesome lineup of musicians and even DJs. So some of the nights will be late night celebrating, and then it will just kind of return to a slower pace environment. And some people come early, some people stay late. It's the forest, so you can come and camp, whenever you want. You can show up.
Is there a maximum amount of people who can come?
In this location, no, there's no maximum. We could fill the forest.
So it's actually a forest. What kind of trees do you have there?
There's ponderosa pines and oak trees.
What are ponderosa pines like? Oh, I remember when I was a kid, they had that show Ponderosa. But it's really
It's
neat.
really cool.
Go on.
There's a lot of herbs that grow back there, like mullein is really good for allergies, so you can make a tea with mullein. And there's also yarrow, which is a highly potent medicinal herb.
Oh no. She'll be back, hopefully. Are you there?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, I want to see your beautiful face. Can you turn your phone? Yay, perfect. So tell me about ponderosa pines. Is it a pine tree? How did it get the name ponderosa?
Yeah, oops, sorry. Ponderosa is a pine tree. I don't know exactly why they got the name ponderosa. But they look like giant, like if mangroves were to now be at 7,000 feet in elevation, what mangroves would do, that's what ponderosas look like to me. Their roots are like mangrove roots, like they were along the ocean. The entire area is fossil shells. It used to be in the ocean. And in my opinion, there's literally big, giant, petrified animals back there. Like there's a big, giant fish. And this might be like a little out there for some of the people listening, unless they're just like, oh, unless like, I don't know. Like I call myself like an earth investigator. I really want to know like what earth is made of and what it is. And so I do a lot of research on things like that. Like some of the things that I have seen with my own eyes is like why why everyone in China worships the dragon. And in my opinion, it's because they live on a big giant dragon head. If you look at Google Earth and, you look at China, it is the head of a dragon, as well as the Sahara Desert is also ancient giants, petrified beings, maybe sea dragon and big giant fish. There's all sorts of things like the Eye of the Sahara, the Rakat structure. I have some friends that have visited and made a documentary about that area because they believe it's where Atlantis used to be. And so that's a big deal. People always search for Atlantis in the ocean, and they make all these documentaries about Atlantis being in the ocean. It's like they're trying to trick us, the mainstream stuff. So now that people have been able to fully map Earth, including the Army mapped Earth, I mean, their maps go back to the 40s of the Sahara Desert, that the ones I've been able to find. So I just think that I just think that they've been doing this for a long time, and they know a lot of things about Earth and its constraints. So
what makes you now believe that Atlantis is not in the ocean, that it's somewhere above the ocean now?
Well, I believe the Sahara Desert used to be covered in water. I believe that Plato's description of Atlantis, which was from, I think, his uncle Solomon. It was another person. When they describe Atlantis, they describe the Eye of the Sahara as if the Sahara had water covering it. And they find full-size whale bones in the Sahara Desert as well. So if it wasn't covered with ocean water, how did the full-size whale bones get there? And I think that there was a previous flood that somehow landed or stranded giant, even bigger than our normal size whale bones there. This is like totally off subject of Jackalope, but
it's fine.
But you know what else? It's kind of interesting because one of our speakers. You want this? No, he doesn't
even He's doing all right. I want to hear about these whale bones. Hello.
Yeah, they find full size. Say hi, Carla.
Hello.
Say,
can you smile? Okay, tell me about the whale bones.
Oh, here, eat this one. This one's better. You want that one? So yeah, they find full-size whale bones in the Sahara Desert. But like I was saying, in my opinion, there was even a flood previous to that stranded Titan-size fish and sea dragons and all sorts of things on the surface of Earth. And they've petrified, and we call them mountains. And so like the Eye of the Sahara, which is interesting, they call it the Eye of the Sahara, looks like a fish eye. I mean, if it's not a fish eye, then it could have been a tree it has concentric circles. So whatever it was before it was Atlantis, because they built Atlantis out of whatever was petrifying then. And you can see on the surface of the plateau that's there that it had waterways on it. It had a lake. It had waterways. There was like a beach. There's boat entrances. I mean, this is ancient land out there. Ancient.
Now, in Jackalope, have you ever said, hey guys, let's see what we can find out about the history of this land?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's going to be up to literally the survivors of Atlantis to figure out things like that, because, Atlantis was destroyed by a catastrophic event, and it's written about, it's documented. And one of the people that is coming to Jackalope, his name is Jay Dreamers, and he has a YouTube channel called Jay Dreamers. And he talks about the plasma apocalypse. He believes that there is a catastrophic event that happens on Earth in some kind of cycle. It happens however often it happens, and it's been written about, it's been documented, it's been forgotten, and so on and so forth. And so he talks on his show about titans and giants and his opinion of those things. And their existence here on Earth. So it's going to be really interesting to see what types of conversations come out of Jackalope this year, because at Jackalope, everyone has a fire pit, everyone's camping, and you can, at night for weeks, walk from fire to fire, having night-long conversations with people. So the impact that Jackalope has over like a normal type of conference where you only go for 3 days and you stay at a hotel and you barely get to talk or interact with any of the people that attend, even if they are of like mind, it's still like, it's very hard to really connect. And so what Jackalope offers is an opportunity to connect on a level that you wouldn't normally have. And so projects come out of Jackalope, businesses come out of Jackalope, relationships come out of Jackalope, babies come out of Jackalope, all sorts of things like that. So it's really interesting to see what it is going to bring, this year. And it's different. It's different every year because it is community organized. So some years it's been more organized than other years. And it's just, it's just kind of magical.
And how long does it go on for?
It goes for 2 weeks, from August 1st through August 14th. And if you want to know more about the bands performing or the speakers coming, or I call them keynote campers, you can visit jackalopefreedomfestival.com.
I want you to put that in the chat later so people can find it easily.
Okay, I'll do that.
How many people tend to come to the festival?
Well, it's been anywhere from 70 to possibly 600. There's no registration or really way to track. We don't take names or anything like that, or make people pay for a ticket or anything, because it's just the forest and we're all just going there to camp and meet. So the only real way to know is to ask the porta potty guy.
The porta potty? How many porta potties do you have?
So this year we're going to have 12 porta potties, and then he will come and clean them. So he'll come and clean them when they need to be cleaned, and he'll empty them, and then they'll be fresh and new for the next group.
Will it be? So do the groups change throughout the week, the 2 weeks?
It does change, because some people can only stay for 3 days. Some people can, if they stay for only 3 days, which days are they coming, throughout the 2 weeks. So it is different for everyone. And so that it really keeps it versatile. This year, and we get sponsors for stuff too. So since there's no fees, I don't, take any kind of registration. It's like, well, how are you gonna, how are all these people gonna go to the bathroom? So, yeah. Well, and if you don't have this kind of stuff figured out, I think the the government has a tendency to kind of like come down on you a little bit. So we got it all figured out, and we didn't need their help. So we get donations for the porta potties. This year, Phoenix Crypto is a sponsor, and he is a company in Arizona that owns a bunch of Bitcoin ATM machines. So he's been a long time friend of mine, and he sponsors the porta potty. So, and if you ever want to buy Bitcoin in Arizona, you can just find a Phoenix Crypto Bitcoin ATM and go buy some Bitcoin, or you can get I think Ethereum and maybe a couple other cryptos on there as well. So he comes and he does that for us. And then this year we actually got a sponsor for a big roll-off dumpster, because there's a lot of trash when there's a lot of campers, and everyone's wondering who takes care of the trash. You know, everyone's like, oh, does the government take care of the trash? Like, who's going to do that? You know, and it's like one of those things. You got to take care of your own food, and you got to take care of your own trash, and then you can eliminate government, in my opinion. And you got to collect your own water, that too.
Now, do you have any big dinners so everyone can get together and talk?
Well, it is a community, a really close-knit community. I mean, people are camping right next to each other. We do a Sunday night potluck on the very last Sunday of the event. So anyone who stayed throughout the whole thing can come and do that. And then the other people host all sorts of different things while they're there. So there's a lot of meet and greets going on, and I don't have to plan them all or organize them. And it's nice that it just sort of self-organizes.
Do they kind of hang little notices on a tree saying meet and greet at tree 54?
Yeah, there's all sorts of things you can do to advertise. You can laminate a sign and hang them on trees. Last year, and we've been attempting this for many years, we actually had our first mesh network. So a mesh network is a software that basically communicates device to device. You do not need to have an internet connection for this software to communicate with another phone. So if two phones have it installed, and it was called Briar, and it was only available on Android phones, and it is able to communicate phone to phone. So now what happens is when more people download it and start walking around camp, the phones will connect to each other because they can reach a certain distance with the antenna that's in the phone. The hardware and stuff like that allows it to do this communication, and it updates that other person's phone with all of the messages that have been going on in the service. So even though, like, how can I explain this? So like I would have to do it with like names. So there's like Joe, and there's Mark, and there's Tim, and there's Ryan, and Joe and Mark have had a conversation like through the app, and Joe sends a message to, I forget the other guy's names, Ryan or whatever. Well, he'll get it now when Mark walks over near Ryan. So I sort of skipped a person, but anyway, I hope you get the picture. Yeah, so the phones will send the messages from the other person. So the information is collected, the data is collected when the phones connect. And now when the other person travels within the distance to guy number 3, he's going to get his messages from guy number 1. It's really cool. It's called the Mesh Network. And I hope I explained it. It is technical, so I hope I explained it okay to the layman, and I hope you guys understand it, because it's a really, really awesome technology. It allows us to freely communicate without any third party, because the software is open source.
Wow.
So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Is it very expensive, or?
It's free.
Wow. I want to come to Jackalope.
You should come and speak. It'd be so cool.
I don't know how I could, but I really would like to.
Well, we have a group on Telegram. And I would just send me a message privately if you want to get access to that, because we don't give away the public group just to keep spammers out of there, because Telegram groups can get really spammy.
Yeah.
And we have a pre-screening group, but I know your video may get like a lot of views in some places. I'm not sure I want to give that out either, but maybe I'll put some links in the chat, and then people really interested can follow those.
They may want to see it because it kind of explains to them what to expect when you come to Jackalope.
Yeah, I just added a like camping gear list today that one of the Jackalopers put together. And so I put that up there, and we have a map showing how to get there. And I've issued press releases for any media organizations that want to, publish it professionally. So
wonderful. Please feel free to share this.
Okay, yeah, I will.
Look who I told you he'd come tonight. Your baby showed up, and so did this little guy.
Look at the little baby kitty. He's a big baby kitty.
No baby. He is an older man. He's about 12 now.
An older man.
Yes.
He's an old man. Do you want a cracker?
Oh, don't call him an old man. He'll get very, very upset. I won't talk.
That's so funny.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you need to spend some time with your son now. But I want to thank you. Are there any words that you want to leave the audience with about Jackalope?
Well, if you live near Arizona, come check it out if you like camping. And if you have anything to vend, bring your goods and services and come meet the community of liberty-minded people. And yeah, come experience Jackalope and see what it's like. It's only one way.
It sounds really wonderful. And I want to thank you for spending the time to talk to me about it tonight. And I want to thank those who watch, and of course, Rehan for setting this up. And we are going to end the show right now, but I will be back with more interviews, and I look forward to hearing more about Jackalope and seeing pictures of people there. And with that, I want to remind everyone that this show was sponsored by the Institute of Peace, who promotes peace one conversation at a time. And can we wave goodbye? Bye, everyone. See you.